except to say expect the unexpected. Because if the past 8 years has shown us anything, it's that this universe is far bigger than any of us could have dared imagine.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This is going to be my Arrow Season 8, Episode 10 series finale video. That's right, this is the end. Everyone press F in the chat to pay respects to the show and to Stephen Amell. They ended with a really big teaser, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to my channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the Easter egg videos. There's a bunch of big stuff coming up, especially the Green Lantern HBO show that's going to be happening in the next couple of years. I'll explain that at the end of the video, too. A lot of the Easter eggs and setups were in service of a lot of the new TV shows that they're going to be doing inside the DC TV universe. Primarily Superman, the Green Lantern show, the Green Arrow spin-off show, so I'll try to explain that as we go through Easter eggs. Careful for spoilers if you have not seen the episode yet. We'll do top 10 WTF and Easter eggs as we go along. So starting with number 10, Welcome to Earth Prime, Deathstroke. So they do a bunch of different flashbacks during the episode. The first one opens with Starling City in 2014 during the events when Deathstroke was killing Oliver's mother during Arrow Season 2. But we find out that it's actually a flashback to Earth Prime's history in 2014 during these same events, and this time Oliver used a pocket knife to free himself and save his mother. It's brand new footage too. They shot it in the finale with Manu Bennett coming back to film the new scene, so this is actually brand new stuff made to look like it's old. Number 9, they do a new version of the Emerald Archer documentary. They did that, I think it was last season, where they basically had a documentary titled The Emerald Archer. That was also the name of the episode. You find out, though, that in present day, Moira Queen, Oliver's mother, knows that she died in the previous timeline. They know about an alternate reality. They knew that their version of Oliver sacrificed himself, became the Spectre, and won't be coming back anytime soon. It gets really meta when all the characters start to understand the complexities of the multiverse. Like, wait a minute, there was a monitor and an antimatter, an antimatter wave wiped us all out. Through most of the early parts of the episode, they also show flashbacks, especially during the documentary, to the other big crossovers in previous seasons, just referencing the events of his life. For the most part, everything went down similarly. It's just that in this version of Earth Prime's reality, Oliver brought back a couple people that died in previous timelines. You also slowly find out about the other people that Oliver brought back to life in the new timeline when they get to the end of the episode in the funeral, so I'll talk about that in a second. There were only a couple people that they didn't bring back, and I'll explain why in a second. They tried to provide some logic for it during the episode, and I feel like it's mostly solid. Number 8, WTF, everyone comes back to the Arrow Cave and drinks Oliver's vodka to toast his memory. This is the vodka that he kept stashed ever since Season 1. It's stuff that he had brought back from him with Russia when he was in the Bratva. But they sort of use this scene to reference what all of the other main characters are going to be doing next. Renee is going to become mayor, Dinah's going to become the new police chief, Lila accepted a promotion in Metropolis, so Diggle is moving their family to Metropolis with her. Also, I think because Diggle is going to cameo on the Superman TV show. If he's not going to be a main character, he'll probably just guest star every once in a while. Also because of what happens to him at the end of the episode too. But number 7, WTF, all the Arrow Season 1 flashbacks. So obviously there's a billion different things you could flash back to in the series finale, but the most impactful would probably be referencing stuff from the very first episode in the very first season. But the first big one is him going back to the raft, watching his father kill himself. It's basically them showing you the moments that provide the logic for why Oliver did the things he did. Like, why didn't Oliver bring Robert Queen back to life with everyone else? Well, as they speculate during the episode, it's because Oliver couldn't change things that would fundamentally change his own timeline, preventing him from becoming the hero that he became. And in order for that to happen, he needed to watch his father die on that raft. They also use these early Season 1 flashbacks to talk about how the mission will never be over, and in the flashbacks, Oliver's talking about the list. There's too many names. The mission will never be over, so they're just trying to connect that to the list. That's why they spent so much time at the end of Crisis on Infinite Earths with that scene setting up the idea of the new version of the Justice League, or the Super Friends, however you want to refer to them. But number 6, Sarah goes to the future in Star City 2040 to pick up Mia, because that's basically where her show is going to take place. If you didn't watch Arrow Season 8 Episode 9 last week, they basically did an explainer for what that spin-off TV show is going to be. It's going to take place in the future. Both Canaries will be showing up on that, but they'll be time displaced. So it'll be these Canaries from present day, time traveling into the future, and then being on that show. If you're also confused about why the Queen Mansion still exists, it's because of the Earth Prime changes in the timeline. Way back between Season 2 and Season 3, there was a tie-in comic book where they basically burnt the mansion down, so when you started in Season 3, there was no more Queen Mansion. Getting really meta, I think the reason why the writers rebooted or brought back the Queen Mansion in the Earth Prime timeline is because they wanted to use that on the spin-off TV show. In order to explain why it could exist in the future, they had to say that it didn't get destroyed in the past. But number 5, WTF, Oliver versus John Byrne in the flashbacks. So really big Easter egg, but remember, we're connecting this to Season 1 moments and Oliver when he was still really stabby going through the list. Diggle tries to talk some sense into him, but he's getting ready to go take down this human trafficker, John Byrne. The name John Byrne sounds familiar because he's actually a famous comic book creator. He created a bunch of X-Men characters like Kitty Pryde, Emma Frost, Omega Red, the Scott Lang Ant-Man. John Byrne is also the name of a villain in Mark Guggenheim's final episode of Law & Order that he wrote. So he's put a lot of Law & Order Easter eggs, a lot of Billy Joel Easter eggs into Arrow episodes in the past. They have a couple moments with Mia at the computer banks in present day acting like Felicity, like they just want to tie a link, make her seem like she's a lot like her parents. She's like Oliver in that she's becoming the new version of the Green Arrow in the future, but she also kind of looks like Felicity and she works computers like Felicity. Then number 4 WTF was the big team-up that they all have in present day to save the young version of William who gets abducted by John Byrne after he gets out of Ironhide's prison. They kind of use this as a sort of rally moment, a reason for them to all come back together. Why do you think I called everyone? Because they had to canvas the whole city. So it also provides you with a couple different vignettes and scenes of the characters talking about each other, talking about where they've been the last couple of years. They even brought back Ragman. There have been so many of you on my videos that have asked, what happened to Ragman? How come he never came back? He was so OP. His ability was so powerful. He actually explains that it just quote-unquote took a while for his rags to heal to regain their magical properties, and he's just been acting as a vigilante on his own ever since. There's a very notable Wayne Easter egg talking about Batman stuff. I don't think it means that Batman's going to show up inside the Arrowverse anytime soon, but you do have the Batwoman TV show, and because they're doing a Superman TV show, there will inevitably be more Batman Easter eggs within the DC TV universe. They also sort of use this William save as a call to action for Mia because she wasn't able to save William in the future, the older version of William. But I think arguably the bigger moment is when Roy proposes to Thea. Like they kind of make you wonder what's going to happen with those characters in the future. You also notice, if you haven't been watching Arrow, that Roy also lost one of his arms and has the cybernetic one, just like comic book Roy Harper. If you were confused about the title of the episode too, fade out is actually a term for a part of the bow itself. The name of the hero, the name of the show is Arrow, so obviously there's a ton of bow and arrow references throughout the history of the show, as well as in the title of the episodes, but fade out also a reference to the show itself in the characters fading out, like this is the fade out of the series because it's the series finale. So number 3 WTF, Thea and Roy are getting engaged. They also referenced their first meeting back during season 1, him stealing her purse and how her and Oliver's mother used to hate him a lot more in the old timeline. You have to remember the weird thing about this new version of all the characters is that they remember that there used to be another version of reality. They haven't said when Thea and Roy are going to pop up on any of the other TV shows anytime soon, but I'm assuming every once in a while one of them or the other will cameo either during a crossover or during a big episode of one of the other series. There's a big moment with Black Siren being guilty about Earth 1 Laurel being one of the characters that was not brought back. Like, why wasn't she not brought back? Was it because I'm here? Quentin tries to make her feel better because he is one of the people that was brought back and he knows that he died in the previous timeline. They turned down the lights in the Arrow Cave for the last time. Bit of a sad moment. You remember, though, that it's left in pretty good condition and it still exists in the future of Star City 2040 during Mia's timeline. But then they have that big candlelight vigil unveiling the Arrow statue. Quentin references a lot of the events of Season 1 and Season 2 when he was going after Oliver night and day. I used to hate Oliver. I blamed him for the death of Sarah on the Queen's Gambit and how he regrets so much of that now because of the hero that Oliver was able to become. The statue reads, "He saved this city." There were even some fans in real life that wanted to get the CW to try and leave this statue up permanently in Vancouver where they filmed the show. But Mark Guggenheim explained that when they constructed this for the show, it wasn't constructed to stand forever, so it would basically just be torn apart by the regular Vancouver weather, so it's not meant to last that long. So if you ever wonder why there is no permanent Green Arrow statue, that's why. Number 2 WTF, they have Oliver's funeral, and there's a whole bunch more cameos, a bunch more people come back that weren't in the earlier parts of the episode. Thea and Moira reference why Oliver probably couldn't bring Robert Queen back, but Tommy is back. Talking to Black Siren, he references being married to Earth 1 Laurel and how weird it is, about how cool it is that she's there. Both Talia and Nissa Al Ghul come back. They joke about their relationship as sisters, they reference their terrible father, Ra's al Ghul, and they joke about Nissa getting married to Oliver. Sorry about the death of your husband. Oh, I had that annulled a long time ago. And then up walks Sarah, and Nissa introduces Sarah to Talia as her beloved still. I can't remember the last time that Nissa and Sarah were in a scene together. Felicity meets adult Mia for the first time because Emily Bett Rickards mostly sat out this season of Arrow. Like, she didn't want to come back after season 7, but of course she's going to come back for the series finale. We also see that Barry comes back because obviously Barry, very important character to Oliver's life, to offer his condolences to Felicity and everyone else. And everyone jokes that they don't know what to say in a moment like this, but Diggle is probably the best person to say something because he was there at the beginning in the pilot. He was the first person to team up with Oliver. They became brothers, and his eulogy is sort of a twist on the Arrow intro narration that Oliver always has. I have to become something else, but Diggle says that something else was to become a better man. They do that big montage about where all the characters are heading next. Like I said, Diggle and Lila headed to Metropolis, probably because Diggle is going to cross over on the Superman TV show every once in a while. But the thing everyone is probably going to be talking about after this episode, number one, big WTF, they pay off the long-running fan theory that Diggle would eventually become the Jon Stewart of the Arrowverse. As he's getting ready to pack up and drive off, there's a spacecraft that crash lands right next to him, and he grabs a ring box, opens it up. Green light from a Green Lantern Corps ring shines on him. The spaceship even looks a little bit like Abin Sur's spaceship from the Green Lantern movie, and really meta deep-cut Easter egg for the original Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie. Mark Guggenheim, longtime Arrow showrunner, and Greg Berlanti himself also were involved with the making of the Green Lantern movie. So that's also one of the reasons why they included that Green Lantern movie footage during Crisis on Infinite Earths, implying that Green Lanterns existed within the Arrowverse. But also early speculation, I think it's going to be Diggle Green Lantern crossing over with Superman for episodes of his TV show when it starts later this year. Like I mentioned earlier, there is the HBO Max Green Lantern TV show, but I don't know when that's going to premiere, and I don't know if Diggle is going to go on that too. I'm assuming he might cameo, but I think for the most part, he's at least going to show up on the Superman TV show. They also pay off that final scene of Felicity going with the Monitor at the end of Season 7. We never really found out what happened to her or where she went. We find out that it was her going into the afterlife to be with Oliver. There is no returning from here, and it's actually a recreation of a moment that they had during Arrow Season 1 inside his mother's office. They're both wearing their clothes from Season 1 when they first met, but she's confused. She's like, wait a minute, we met for the first time down in the IT department, and he's like, no, it's more complicated than that. And you see the scene of the flashback that they did in a later season where he actually saw her at an earlier point in the timeline. It's just that she didn't remember meeting him until the IT department during an Arrow Season 1 episode. The timeline gets a little tricky, but let me know if there's any big Easter eggs that you spotted in the episode that I didn't mention in the video, and let me know what you think about Diggle becoming the Jon Stewart Green Lantern of the Arrowverse. I'll probably do another Green Lantern video sometime tomorrow, just talking more about what's going on with the Green Lantern TV series, the Superman TV series, and Green Lanterns in general on the Arrowverse TV shows and future crossovers. Everyone click here for all my Crisis on Infinite Earths videos and to watch Ezra Miller crossover with Grant Gustin, one of the best scenes from the crossovers, and click here for The Boys Season 2 trailer. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay awesome. You have saved this city.